BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcast.
It's Radio 1's Screen Time. Yippee-ki-yay.
Hello and welcome to another Sunday interview special of Radio 1 Screen Time. My name is Ali Plum, I'm Radio 1 and 1 Extra's film critic, and today in the interview hot seat, it's Jodie Comer, who you probably best know for playing Villanelle in the BBC Three series Killing Eve, but her latest appearance on TV screens won't be as a psychopathic assassin. No, she's playing what you'd call... she's an actress in this, called Leslie, and it's part of the Alan Bennett monologue series known as Talking Heads, nothing to do with the band. And in the 80s, you had a series of them where it was essentially some of the finest actors of the time delivering monologues, straight down the barrel, to the camera, to the audience at home. And then in the 90s, I believe there were some more, but now in the 21st century, here in 2020, under lockdown, in the world of COVID, they're remaking it, rebooting it with different actors right now, including Jodie Comer, who plays an actress called Leslie, as I may have mentioned, about to embark on a film-making project that she may not fully be entirely au fait with. I don't want to give away too much because you have a lot to look forward to, as every single episode is dropping on iPlayer on the 23rd of June, with her particular episode also going out on TV screens, on regular terrestrial telly, a little bit later on. So 23rd of June is the date to write down in your diaries for all of these episodes on BBC iPlayer, but for now, just carry on listening to me chatting to Jodie about the practicalities of shooting this 21st century remake of a much-loved and greatly respected series, as well as the legacy of Bennett's work. And also, just as a little treat at the end, we discuss a little bit of her comfort food film choices. I know it's a question I like to ask a lot lately, but she had some really good answers. All right, let's just crack on with it. Here's Jodie chatting to me.
Excuse my ignorance here, and I'm aware a lot of people are going to be asking you this, but do you mind kind of setting up the heritage and, dare I say it, the importance of Talking Heads generally?
Yes, I mean, to my own embarrassment, I wasn't aware of the monologues before I started this project. And to me, why I think they're important and what speaks volumes to great writing is that they're timeless. You know, I think these were originally produced and portrayed in the 80s, and you know, to do them now and to them still to speak so clearly to the audience, and especially for me playing Leslie to relate to her in my own world, I think that's why they're so important.
And how on earth do we begin to describe Alan Bennett? Because to me he's some kind of mythical figure, but who is he?
Well, me too. I mean, I was too nervous to speak to him. I know Josie, the director of Her Big Chance, she did, you know, we got sent his kind of contact details if we wanted to reach out, and I felt a little bit too nervous just because I was so worried and desperate to give the monologue justice that I kind of hid away a little bit. But I know she spoke to him, and you know, he gave us some kind of great pointers, but it was so wonderful. I mean, I feel so lucky to have been able to bring this monologue to life, especially following, you know, Julie Walters' footsteps in her playing the original. So it was such a wonderful experience. Yeah,
I've got to say, you know, stepping into her shoes is a bit of a big ask. Were you tempted or not willing to rewatch the original so you can kind of just do it your way?
Yeah, it was a couple of clicks onto the monologue and quickly exit. And I think when I first got sent it, I watched like maybe the first 2 minutes and then I switched it off. But then actually when I started working with Josie and I didn't become so kind of wrapped up in the worry of me just mimicking what Julie did and kind of stealing all of her traces. Once I became more secure in what me and Josie were finding, I then watched it all. And I'm really glad I did, because I think, you know, if you put the two together, it's kind of incredible as well how, you know, different performances, they interpret things in different ways, and hopefully we did that.
Is this the sort of acting you relish? Because I've been friends with a lot of people who are very much into their drama, actors, some people call them, and the idea of just being by yourself, the camera is straight on you, down the barrel often. I'd find it incredibly intimidating. If only for line learning, it's a sense of I cannot drop a beat.
It was terrifying. It's honestly, it's the most proud I've ever been actually of something that I've done. And obviously we shot it within COVID. We had a lot of rules and regulations that we had to abide by. There was a lot of less people on set, a lot less bodies, and therefore it was deadly silent. And usually on a film set, it's complete and utter chaos. Like, you have to find kind of like a quiet moment and a silence in your brain to zone out of all the noise. And then I got to set and there was like 2 people on set and it was silent. And then, yeah, you're right. There was just me looking down the barrel of the camera, which we never usually do.
Yeah.
And just talking all day. So like I said to Josie, there's so many outtakes of me just kind of punching myself in the face, profanity, swearing, like, because it was so hard to not get in your own head. And of course, like, if you are fluffing your lines, if you are messing up, the only person who's going to get you out of it is yourself. So that was a real challenge for me.
What's it like technically, without peeling back the curtain too much? You say there's just a couple of people there with you, but look, I live in a world where I'm constantly staring at myself on like a video conference call. And are you able to see yourself, or do you distance yourself from that? Like, what tricks are there to pull this off?
Oh God, I mean, I never watch anything back. Like, sometimes when you're on set, directors like, do you want to see it? I'm like, no,
nope,
never want to see it. Yeah. When I watch anything back that I do, I always have different feelings towards different things. But I try and just distance myself as much as I possibly can. Otherwise, I find when you watch your own like performances back, you're very rarely criticizing your acting. You're always like criticizing the face that you're pulling, or the way that your posture is, or you can never really look at it from an outside perspective. So when we finished the scenes, I was like, great, moving on. I trusted Josie enough to tell me we've got it. I think that's a big thing as well when you're on set, is the trust with you and a director, and having that actually makes everything so much easier.
Could you talk a little bit about your character of Leslie? Because she's very endearing. I think the way she says, I said, it's just so... I can't imagine the number of times
northern.
You said, I said. But she's,
interesting.
Yes, that's the other word. I've got it written down here. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm a people person. Anyway, so what is it about her, do you think, that makes her so appealing?
Well, Leslie is an actress, and after a kind of series of very unfulfilling kind of extra roles, she gets an audition, and she thinks that this is her kind of biggest opportunity to date. And the monologue follows from how she gets the audition, when she's in the audition, to how she got the role and her experience on set. And then the final beat is of kind of how she's feeling after the whole experience. And I just loved, she's very honest. What I love about her is that she really believes in herself.
Yeah.
Despite every character who she meets undermining her, she believes in herself, and she's passionate about what she does, and maybe too passionate if that's even possible. And yeah, she's very naive. The situation that she's in, I don't think she's fully aware. I think I don't want to get too much away.
Sure.
But I don't think she's fully aware of the kind of film that she is participating in. But I think what you said there, like, I think there's a charm about her and an honesty, which I really admired. And there's just a lot of life to her. She's very vivacious, and it was very, very fun to play. And I think that's also the joy of these talking heads and Alan, is that engagement with the audience and talking to camera, is that you feel that she's just having this conversation with you, and and hopefully you really get a sense of the world that she's living in, because it's all coming from her, you know. There's no other characters, there's no sets. It's all through her description.
And like you said earlier, it's such a rare treat to be able to like look at the audience, talk to them.
Yeah.
You know, I've talked to other actors that say if they could, they'd just be doing kind of turn to cameras like Ferris Bueller type things all the time, because it's just the cheapest, easiest way of going, I'm talking to you, listen up. Is it just a thrill to do that?
Well, it's weird because it's also something we're told never to do, like unless it's of something like Fleabag, you know, which Phoebe kind of did, and like it's a Peep Show. But like for me, it always terrifies me because we're always told whatever you do, don't look at the camera. So like I remember when we first started doing like photo shoots, and then you have to look down the camera and have this relationship with the camera. It always feels like you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing. So for me, it takes a little bit of warming into. But I remember on the day, I think we got to like, you know, it wasn't until like mid-afternoon that I felt comfortable with that. Like I think when we were on like the 4th scene out of 5. Yeah.
Let's restart from the top.
Yeah.
Also, 4 scenes out of 5. That's a strange thing to hear. So you mentioned earlier that obviously Leslie's, you know, she's done a few jobs here and there, but I happen to be on your Wikipedia page, and you have also done that tried and true career path of you've got to do the Holby City, you've got to do Casualty,
yeah.
and ideally you need a Midsummer Murders, which I don't think you've snuck in yet, but I think you've made up on the murder front. I think. But
that's true.
What are your fondest memories of that part of your career when you're just going, I am playing a dead body in the Royal whatever
today?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I think it's like the not that I don't get excited now, but I remember when I used to get parts and like the excitement of getting my agent calling and like getting my mum and dad and everyone around the table and being like, I've got an episode of Casualty, and everyone being like, woo, pop the champagne.
Doctors, woo!
Yeah, exactly. And now, of course, like very lucky that my career has progressed and it's, you know, it's going quite well, but now it's more like oh great, like it's like,
Star Wars, cool
a
for
little
you.
bit more normal. Yeah, it's like great, like so I actually think the innocence of that time in my life of, you know, I remember when I got the Royal today and I was like, oh my God, like this is big, you know, and that innocence of not understanding anything and being so carefree and just doing it because you love it, and which is, you know, it's still the case now, but of course there is like, you know, as you get older, there are so many other elements to what you do as an actress. So yeah, I think that's probably my favorite memories of that time.
What's it like being in a kind of arena now where you're in an Alan Bennett monologue, which at least you don't have to worry about spoilers, but it's a really big deal because there's a lot of legacy. You know, I alluded to Star Wars earlier and Killing Eve 2. What's it like now being on the other side of the coin where you kind of can't talk that much about what you're doing? How was work? I can't tell you.
Yeah, it's so hard, isn't it? Of course, as well, because like within kind of social media and everything now, like spoilers and everything, everyone wants to get away from spoilers, and you always want to feed, you know, the fans and the audience information but not give too much away. It's really hard. I just try and stay as you know, I rehearse my lines that I'm allowed to say, and then I try and stick to them.
And you've got, hopefully, fingers crossed, with everything going well, Free Guy coming out in December this year.
Yeah.
And as you know, a signed up member of Taika Waititi fan club, I was just wondering, what was it like on set with those guys? Does it ever get normal hanging out with the likes of Ryan Reynolds or whoever? Or have you kind of got beyond that now?
No, I have huge imposter syndrome. It's so weird when you like, especially with Ryan, like I've, you know, watched his films all my life and then to meet him and I'm so grateful that was my first introduction to like a film of that size. You know, him and Sean Levy, who was the director, was so incredibly welcoming and so fun. Like every day on set was just so upbeat, and they constantly want to try new things, and you know, a lot of improvisation, always thinking on their toes, and which I really learned from. And of course, Taika, who is just a force to be reckoned with. Like, I remember going to set one day when I didn't even have any scenes, and there were Taika's scenes, and they must have done like a 9-minute take of him just doing improv, like just kind of, he was on his own kind of, I don't know what he was doing, but it was incredible. And I just sat and watched it, and I was like, wow, you know, I again learned so much. Like, that's not from where I come from. Like, improvisation terrifies me, the fact that I I don't have any kind of material to go off of. So it was such a lovely experience, and I've seen the film, and it has so much heart, and has a lot of, you know, really funny, lovely moments. And I actually think, like, for it to be released after kind of the year that everyone's had, it will be like just a real light relief. Yeah. Like, I think people will find a lot of joy in that.
Yeah, here's to that. I can't wait. I mean, I literally can't wait. I know I don't have too much longer with you, but I just wondered if I can kind of wrap things up with a couple of questions I'm asking everybody these days. Like, I've been interviewing unbelievable people. I had like Lisa Kudrow on my laptop screen, and very hard not to call her Phoebe because I have no self-control. But anyway, I was just wondering, what have been your most memorable, awkward celebrity encounters where you find yourself maybe on a red carpet and you're next to, I don't know, Jeff Goldblum or something?
I remember I've actually been kicking myself about this for so long. I was in the line behind Jared Harris at the Golden Globes when we all have to like wait to get our pictures taken. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I'm a big fan. And I was so struck that I just said, thank you. And I was like, why did you not tell him like the work that you loved? And I just was like, thank you. And I was like, idiot. Like, ever since then, I just think he must have just thought, why this girl is so strange? Like, why is she not carried on the conversation? She just said thank you and kind of smiled awkwardly and looked away. So I've already been planning in my head, like, if I ever see him again, to apologize and strike up a conversation with him.
I once opened a lift, pressed the button, the door opened, and then Cheryl Cole was there with her publicist. This was back in the day. And I just froze, and then the doors just slowly shut.
Amazing.
And
it's
that
so
was
weird sometimes how your body reacts to things.
Oh yeah, my brain was not in charge. I was just like, don't be awkward, be as awkward as possible.
It's possible. Yeah.
The other questions I've been asking people are, what are the comfort food movies that you've been watching during this time? Because I don't know about you, but I'm pressing play on the likes of Cool Runnings and Mrs. Doubtfire quite a lot.
I watch Mrs. Doubtfire as well. I Love You, Man is definitely a comfort film.
Slapping the bass.
Slapping the bass. Also Shrek 1, 2 and 3. Like, all of them. Which is really weird because they've been playing them on the television quite a lot. To me and my brother are always like, Shrek's on again? And we're like, shall we? So Shrek is a big one for me.
All right, well then I'll leave you with this last question, which is, what mementos or nerdy bits and bobs have you kept from your career so far? Like, I can't imagine you've got a framed clown wig in your house, but maybe. Is there anything that's made it back home?
A lot of Villanelle's shoes, mainly. More things I can wear in my own life.
Yeah. Where'd you get these shoes?
Yeah, exactly. And I have to be careful what costumes I want to take because, of course, then they're so heavily featured on the show. I'm like, if I'm walking around in my character's costumes, that's a bit gross.
Why are you wearing that comic book set of pajamas?
Like, exactly.
In public.
I kind of wish I took them, actually. But the thing is, as well, they always want to, a lot of the time, they want to keep on a hold of things in case, obviously, the next series and stuff. That's why I love, like, when this question gets asked, like, a lot of actors are always kind of stealing things without people knowing. But yeah, nothing too exciting, I'm afraid.
No, that's all right. No pressure. Thank you again for taking the time. I'm going to let you go.
Thank
you. Have a great rest of your day. And congrats again on this. I can't imagine how much pressure you felt, but it was so good. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you, Ali. Take care.